Thank you, everyone. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Solving Gender Inequality using Blockchain. As usual, our anchor is Rebeca Fernandez. Rebeca Fernandez, you are welcome.
Thank you, Lee. Good morning, good afternoon, all. Thank you so much. As Lee mentioned, we are here again on the fourth session or episode of Solving Gender Inequality by using blockchain technology, live on Co.News Extra as every 2 Thursdays. Today, I have a very special guest with me, Tibazor Udoku. Tibazor is a researcher and member of a research lab focused on data analytics application and blockchain technology. He's right now researching in the University of Applied Science in Austria. Good morning, Tibazor. How are you today?
Hello, good afternoon. It's afternoon here, so good afternoon. Everything is okay from here, so.
Great. Yes, it's afternoon from here as well. Apologies for that, but we don't know who is watching us in each part of the world. So hi. So Tibazor, I know that you have been working for many years, researching and analyzing and also developing frameworks and designing blockchain application for inter-organizational collaborations and also for several startups. So you have a very deep knowledge of blockchain, specifically in engineering and manufacturing and supply chain. So I'm very happy to have you in here today because, as you know, we have been discussing in the past about how blockchain will be a perfect tool for solving gender inequality, and especially because I know that you are also from Nigeria, so I guess this touched you very, very heavily in your heart. So I would like you to maybe to share with the people who is watching us a little bit about your background in this designing blockchain application.
Yeah, absolutely, it's true because my individual research is focused on developing a method or frameworks for building blockchain applications because what we observe in the space is that there's a lot of, in 2017, we saw a lot of ICO madness where everybody creates some apps, some bullshit and tokenize it and spends a lot of money. But at the end of the day, we understand that all this fizzled away. Now, real applications that can solve real organizational issues are being developed on blockchain. So I think one of the interesting research we did in Caltech, I think in 2017, 2018. So we try to identify the main thing, what the actual things that blockchain can solve. So in our research, we found out that building trust, building transparency, improving data interoperability, and securing the data access control is the main crucial points that blockchain can solve. So anywhere we have this kind of problem that has to do with trust, that has to do with visibility of data, whether in inter-organizational collaborations, whether in inequalities in distribution of workforce, or whether some people feel searching. So using blockchain already can help this kind of problems by showing more visibility, and everybody that is part of the process can see what is going on in the process without having to trust on one single party to coordinate the whole process.
Thanks, Tibazor. How important is what you just mentioned about that? It is very important to the people to understand like pretty much the framework and what blockchain can do or not do. And one of the key features, as you mentioned, is transparency, security, and trust. And we know the program is called Solving Gender Inequality by using blockchain technology. You touched base about that, but I know specifically you wanted to touch base about how to improve the transparency in government processes in Africa. And yeah. I guess sorry for interrupting you. This come back to your topic that blockchain can solve specifically real problems of the world. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because once we talk about these inter-organizational processes, when we talk about the employment, when we talk about things that involve more than one organization, that is where we need blockchain, that we actually show where it's quite useful. So when we talk about improving governance processes, because we want to understand, is it every governance process, is it every government process that blockchain finds applicable? I don't think so. But if we have pure governance process that involve multi-parties, for instance, procurement, it's a very good aspect, because we actually did a study in 2019 with Nigeria as a case study that showed how we can use blockchain entirely to improve transparency in the procurement processes. Because what we have going on in the current case is that when government set some group of people to do some tax or to procure some services, there is no transparency to show that these people delivered what they set out to deliver, and then they get paid. You see, this is where there is what we call corruption, when somebody gets paid for doing what he is not done already. But in the case where we have blockchain, where all the stakeholders are involved, so the citizens have to be involved. They want to see what is going on. They want to see that if you set out to build something, you actually build it. The government organization has to be also involved to see if the contractor actually delivered. So having a single database where all the parties involved can have a real transparency to solve this kind of problem. Equally, in the aspect of gender, where people feel short-shamed already, because now we are trying to balance the inequality that exists in the workplaces, where we want to improve the inequality. So blockchain already addresses this kind of gap already, because company A can claim that, oh, we are solving this inequality by doing so, 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 and so. How do we prove this? How do we verify that this is true?
Yes.
So since we have blockchain as a trustable, immutable source of data, every party involved can actually verify what this guy or what this company said they are doing, without some company claiming some sort of node, making some point and say we already did this, but we can't be verified. So using a distributed, decentralized source of trust will also address this kind of problems.
Great. And can you give us a little bit a few examples, or maybe an example that of governance or government processes that can be improved with blockchain?
Okay.
I know that you have been working very hard on this.
Yeah, I just gave example about public procurement, yes, because this is actually, but when we talk about governance, everybody assume it is all about government process. The governance also involves inter-organization, how organizations govern their processes of procurement, how they govern the process of their collaboration with other parties. So these are real cases that blockchain can improve. So for instance, we have in supply chain, where you have to procure some goods, and then you hope that they deliver according to what you purchase. So, but there could be some sort of complexity, for instance, where we have multi-parties. So you order an item from a supplier, the supplier has to contract a third party to deliver these items. So let's say you have some certain conditions that need to be established before this item can be safely delivered. So you can't actually trace where there's a problem. If the problem is from the supplier, if it's from the transporter, because you don't have a single source of truth for tracing this kind of item. So when we go into arbitration trying to solve where the problem went through, if the products arrived damaged because of some set of conditions have not been met, so who failed to deliver this set of conditions? So this is where blockchain comes in. So anywhere where we have issue of trust, issue of visibility, issue of transparency, issue of data security, of course, this is where these issues can easily be addressed with blockchain.
That's great. And I like the word that you meant, can be easily solved with blockchain. And coming back to our topic, which is solving gender inequality, I know that, of course, we know that there is multiple issues of why we are in a gender inequality world. Some of them are because, for example, okay, rephrase that. So, generally speaking, we want to make a change, it needs to be driven by the top, right? They need to make that change and be enabled these type of tools that it will drive the change into the rest going down. If we put a hierarchy type of organization, but also in a country level, it needs to come from the top that has the power to establish something.
Absolutely, yeah.
So according to the World Economic Forum, only 25% of females reach the top layer in anything, right? They of course, they measure in different levels, like politics, learning, technology, per country. But average across the world, only 25% of women are in the top. I guess that it could be also one of the reasons why we have this also gender inequality role in coming back to organizations, and it could be also easily solved with blockchain, because some of the decisions we know are not made in a fairly way. What is your vision around this, Tibazor?
Yeah, absolutely. The main point here is that I'm not an expert in gender equality, but I understand what blockchain can solve when it comes to diversification of organization, trying to be equal in organization. Because in this kind of things, in the future, the way I see blockchain is that people plan that everything will be put into the blockchain. No, but I believe that certain functions, like the same methodology which function that will enable people to be able to balance gender equality. These functions, like who is employed, how many people are employed, where do they come from, which gender are they, what role have they done in the past. So this kind of traceability kind of data that is available inter-organizationally, it will help address this, because everybody is already seeing what the big parties are doing. And then the main point here is that you don't have to put everything on blockchain, but only specific items that specific functions, like we like to call it, specific functions that ensures transparency, specific function that ensures visibility, that ensures traceability. This is what you put on blockchain. So if we evaluate the HR process and we feel the HR process can help improve gender equality, if we evaluate it, then we say what are the specific functions that can help transparency and see the visibility of the genders of people that are underemployed or people that are underpaid. Because once we have to see this kind of picture, it helps in a way to address it, because you've already seen it that it actually exists, because everybody involved has access to this kind of data. So.
Yeah, because coming back to the HR industry and the gender inequality, because it's really, I think is that if we go back to workplaces and organizations in the way that they are right now, the data is structured. At the moment, technology, we copy and paste data, and we know that's not a very good exercise. Then we don't have a track of the employee, of the person through all their career. And therefore, again, some countries are taking out of the equation. That could happen, for example, in some countries of Africa. And we know that, therefore, blockchain can help with this, right? Because it's trustable, trust, and increase the security and the fairness in everyone. Yes, carry on.
Yeah, I think that this topic is quite interesting for me, because in Africa, like in Nigeria, if I have to say Nigeria for sure, because I'm from Nigeria, and I know a lot of the processes in Nigeria because I've been involved. So in Nigeria, we don't have this kind of trustable source of information. So even now that we are talking about remote jobs, where we have a opportunity that could be in USA or in Europe that people in Africa can take part in, but they are also limited by this identification. How do we verify that you are who you are? How do we verify that you have worked where you have worked? So blockchain is like a way to plug in this gap so that everybody comes in equal level. You don't have to go through this notary public to verify data and then send to some company or send to some university. So if we accept a blockchain, if we feel that blockchain can solve this kind of issues, that blockchain can enable people to have the same level standing.
Yes.
To participate in the global workforce, to participate in remote work, to participate in research activities. This is the gap. We don't have to start building centralized database anymore. We have to just plug in blockchain where everything is synchronized. So we don't have to say, oh, we don't trust the data from Nigeria, because it's built on blockchain and you are part of the stakeholders involved in this particular blockchain. You can see it, you can trust it, and you can verify it.
Yes, and that's a very good point, because I remember that in our conversation, Tivasor, you mentioned that how hard it is for certain countries such as Nigeria and Africa to prove any type of certification, and take a lot of time, and sometimes for a lot of people they don't really have a chance with that. And can you give us a little bit more view on this? I mean, I know that you have been investigating, and that touched a lot your heart, and I think there's something that we need to share to the people, because again, as you mentioned, it's just to plug in blockchain and will help, and we will enable people around the world to have an equal opportunity regardless of where you're coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if we talk about this document verification, because we in Blockchain Lab in Tartech, we did quite some of projects in the digital identity verification, KYC attestation, this kind of certificate verification. So you see this kind of data. Even I have a real case where an individual, you got an offer, whether it's scholarship or it's some job. So in the process of verification, because these universities or these organizations in Nigeria that verify this kind of data, they are filled with manual processes and they are so corrupt and bureaucratic. So if you send a request to verify your data, these guys could be in some vacation. So if somebody is waiting to verify your data, after 1 month, they don't care anymore. They receive it as negative, whether it's true or not. So these are real cases. People lose job opportunities, people lose scholarships because their data can't be verified, or because they don't have database to verify, or because the database in Africa is not interoperable with database in Europe. So it has to be manual. You have to wait and wait and wait, and you have to, a lot of money is involved in traveling to this ministry to verify this document. But once we have immutable source of data where every party is involved can actually verify this, can actually verify this data exists. So let's say a simple example. So if we decide to, every certificate that is issued by some institution is updated on the blockchain, on some public blockchain, for instance, even though I don't prefer public blockchain. But in this case, if we use public blockchain, you don't have to wait for somebody. You just have to access this data, verify that it exists, and then go ahead and do what you want to do. You don't have to wait for this ministry. You don't have to wait for someone to do these manual processes and lose their opportunity.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, these are real use cases that are happening in countries like that in Africa, and people is losing chances to get a better opportunity, scholarships, as you mentioned, and to get a real chance to get a better future. And we need to stop that. And you mentioned that blockchain can help, isn't it? And really can help with this process.
Yeah, this is true, because we see when you look into the blockchain space, you see a lot of research, a lot of output going into digital identity verification, because this traditional verification system, we don't trust it anymore because they are centralized, they are bureaucratic, they are not transparent. So this is a very important use case of blockchain. Digital identity verification, you say who you are, once you prove yourself once, it's already there. The rest of the process is automatic, and it reduces the time of going through this manual notary public people to get signed and then waste your money and then lose your opportunity at the end of the day. So these are the real cases that blockchain can actually solve.
Wow, and that's a really, I think, is one of the most important use cases that can be solved in the world, right? Because the identification process is taking also forever in developed countries, like in Europe. You're in Austria. I'm sure that you had been dealing with a lot of long process to prove or to get any certificate for university or whatever, because I faced that in myself when I've been changing roles or whatever. So I imagine in countries like Africa, as you mentioned, in Nigeria, where the process is even longer, and you mentioned that some of the governments are corruptive, it could be even harder to get that identification. And we need to stop that. And I guess blockchain is the solution, right?
Yeah, the blockchain is the solution in this aspect, because it brings, the main point here is that people that are already disadvantaged, they don't have to be disadvantaged anymore. Yes. Everybody comes on the same level. You say who you are, you've done this kind of job, you have this kind of experience. It can all be verified. If we kind of do this kind of things in public blockchain, you don't need some somebody to give you access. You can just verify this kind of data because it exists somewhere.
Yes.
And you trust it.
Yes. So I think one of the key problems are there, and also with gender inequality, we will solve it as well, because, or at least help to close that bridge, because we will be treated as a equal, as you mentioned. It will be
Absolutely.
just human. It will be a person with capabilities and skills, and actually will be very in automated process to get all the information, and we don't have to go through the painful process to get your identification, and therefore maybe put you in a disadvantaged position because you are man, woman, or you are for certain country or another.
Yeah, true. Because once we have to involve these tasks that are human done, that which humans are biased, humans are sometimes irrational. So if we can program this kind of tasks, so these programmable tasks that are executable on blockchain, we call them smart contracts. So if we can program them, so the computer can say, oh, this guy is a man, so we prefer it, because these are biased human judgment. So, but once we can put this kind of operations, this crucial operation, this crucial activity, remove it from these corrupt humans, from these inefficient humans, and program it that are executable by smart contracts, then it's equal opportunity for everyone. Whether you are a male, whether you're a black, whether you're a female, whether you come from Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, everybody have the same equal opportunity, because they can be verified. They can be verified what they've done in the past, what they are doing can be verifiable, and it will be amazing.
Yes, it will be amazing. And I guess the future plans that you have, Tivazor, is going in that direction, isn't it? To really make sure that we solve this, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, my future plans, because if we look at the blockchain domain, like when I started, there is no method of building these blockchain applications.
Mm-hmm.
If you search through, you can make a search in Google now. Everybody wakes up and build the design, what they want to do, and then build a smart contract. So there is no formalized process. There is no clearly defined framework. So this is the gap individually, I'm trying to solve by building the first requirement engineering backed process for building the app. So I think we made quite some progress in this aspect by publishing some results, and some of the results are also incoming. So if we can solve this, that means someone can easily see this is solvable by blockchain. So let's use this method. You follow the process, you find the requirements of what you want to build, what should be executed on blockchain, what should be executed off-chain, who are the parties involved, what kind of asset do you want to tokenize in this process. Then you start building the architecture of the system, what kind of data is exchanged between parties, what are executed. So it's a clearly defined process. This is what I'm doing at the moment, trying to build this kind of framework that is useful for everybody.
That's amazing. And as you mentioned, it's very needed, because you need to have a form of blueprint or framework that everyone comprehend. And therefore, if someone say, look, I really want to go through the document on what is who are the users, or what is the nodes, or what are the blocks, you have all in there in one place, and that's too much needed. And also, Tivazor is also working with us in solving the gender inequality as well, because he wanted to be very heavily, and we are very happy that he also is part of our team. So any other thoughts that you want to share with us, Tivazor, before we close?
Yeah, because my research is in blockchain, so if I have a lot of using the HR process is also a use case, so this will be beneficial for my research as well. So if I have to contribute in any way by looking at the design, trying to build the models, I'm open to that can be executed on blockchain, that can enable trust, that can enable data security in a such way access my data, I can implement. It's based on blockchain, public key, private key encryption. So these kind of things are possible. So it's not just about trying to create the new money, trying to do the new ICO, is it called? I don't care about these kind of things. I care about real inter-organizational processes that can be solved with blockchain.
Yes, and as mentioned, we are working on that already in a HR solution that can help with this gender inequality and gender gap that we are facing. Chibazor is also, very kindly working with us because, as you mentioned, it's very needed to have a framework and a blueprint that everyone comprehends, and actually it could be easily plugin into organizations to start using it, and it will be solving real problems such as identification, trust, gender inequality, and to give a fair opportunity to everyone in the world. So these are real problems that needs to be solved, and for that we are working to create these blueprints of blockchain application that can be easily plugged in into everywhere, right?
Yeah,
Right?
this is absolutely true because I'm building requirement engineering method for developing blockchain applications. So if we have cases that want to use this kind of method, we have in our research, we have already used this method to build a lot of blockchain applications for startups, for the all type of organizations. So the more people use this kind of framework, the more they build useful, meaningful blockchain applications that will solve real issues in organizations. So.
Yes.
I'm always happy to get involved.
Yes, and actually going back to the HR industry, as mentioned previously, and the gender inequality and gender gap, it has a clear, I will say, correlation with the HR industry, and the HR industry, specifically in technology, is lacking for a centralized system, a central truth of. There is a big gap in the technology, based on my own experience, and blockchain can help with this. And the solution, it will be blockchain, especially with the gender gap that we are trying to solve by 2030. Thanks so much, Ibazor. It was amazing this conversation. Anything you want to add before we close?
Yeah, I think also about the HR, I think anyone that has worked in multiple organizations have this kind of already understand there's already a gap in managing this HR data associated with employee, especially when they move to another company or when they want to use their data for a specific purpose. So these, for instance, if you are moving to a new role in another organization, you may want your data in a specific organization to be accessible to you even when you are not in the company anymore. But if this the process we have at the moment where it depends on the mood of the former organization. If they are in the happy mood, they provide you the data. If they are in a happy mood, they don't reply to your emails. These are real issues because
Yes.
the data you fill out this AZ data, the data actually belongs to you. They are just keeping it for you. But if you request this data for some other purposes and they don't reply you see, it becomes a real issue.
Yes.
It becomes a real issue. So even though we have, we always have this, what is it called, ERP systems, it works well for organizational processes, but once we talk about inter-organizational processes, I don't know any useful workflow management or workflow management tool that works well. Because I did a research and someone said, oh, I know very good inter-organizational process that works well. I searched, I couldn't find any. If you do Google search now, all you'll be seeing is electronic data interchange, ERP system. These things don't work well for inter-organizational processes. Everybody knows it, and we need a solution for this.
Yes, I fully agree. I cannot be more agree with you, and especially in the human resources, human capital. And blockchain is the perfect human-centric system and technology, and there is no, as you mentioned, intra data source or system that can plug in or have a track of your skills, identification, your basic information, basically.
There is no system. There is no system for inter-organizational process. Everybody can just say, oh, I know this works well. Oh, it doesn't work for inter-organizational processes where we need visibility, transparency, and decentralized trust. There's no system that works except blockchain.
Yes. And As mentioned, everyone, we are working on this. We are starting use casing for, we are starting with the gender gap because we want to close it by 2030. It has a direct impact to the HR technology, and we are starting use casing this. And as mentioned, there is no system that can connect this data between one company or another, one system to another. Blockchain is a solution, and actually, therefore, it will solve a lot of problems, such as the identification, and actually have this fairness and equal world that we need. Thank you so much, Ivazor. It was very great to speak to you today.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. Nice talking to you, and hope you have a good day.
You too. And thank you, everyone. Just to as a reminder, we will be again live on Thursday's time on the 20th of August on solving gender inequality by using blockchain technology. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Have a great day.